What that West Side like? YouTube, Facebook, affiliated streets, TikTok, Instagram. What's going on in West LA today, man? On this Soulful Saturday, man. The Soul on Saturday. Just been thinking about my West Side experiences, man, going back to the early 70s, man. We went through some serious transitions on that West Side, man. But how y'all feeling, man, after y'all done ate all that turkey, man? Listen, man. Y'all should know by now. Get the ham out the meal, man. Come on, man. That's why y'all can't be trusted. You can't trust people like that, man. To give you no kind of advice, man. You can't. You got to take your own advice, right? On that, you got to take your own advice, man. I ain't going to grill. I'm going on the grill with all these holidays and stuff at a later time, man. Because I know the spirit is one thing, and you get so easily misguided. We so easily led in the wrong direction. Hard as hell to lead in the right direction, man. Sheep, man. But yeah, I'm not here to be a critic, man. I'm here to just kick it today, man. I want to just do a little reflecting on the beautiful days of the West Side, man. When I was a young tyke, man, coming up on that West Side, man. You know what I mean? I have my moments, man, where I really reflect on who was who and what was what, man. It's a name drop session, right? And I was thinking, man, I think about my brother, man. If y'all don't know, whoever don't know, if you know me, you know who my brother is. And you know the glass house and we came up over there and all. You know all that. But if you don't know, this is for those who don't know, right? My brother, right over me, because I got 6 brothers, but my brother right next to me, and he's like 2 years older than me, Jeff Bray, right? Jeff Bray, man, I really love my brothers, man, all of them, but Jeff Bray was the type of brother who he was like a state class athlete, right? He had wheels, he played the football and all. He was just an athlete, man, right? And when Michael Laurie Let me go back, because Jeff didn't come to the West Side before I came to the West Side. Before all my brothers, Jeff was in Riverside. I was in Watts, but we always came back together. Remember, I told y'all that story of me coming up in Watts because of the structure of my family, right? I was an only child between my mother and my father. Me and Jeff and them don't have the same father. We never looked at each other as half or anything, though. We always, that's my brothers and sisters, right? But going back, I would, be back and forth from Watts to Riverside before we got to the West Side. We came to the West Side. The way my family got to the West Side was because my mother, Miss Ollie, right? Shout out to Miss Ollie. She ain't going no right here. So I'm right here with she right here with me right now. I never speak of my mother as dead, man. There's too many living experiences for me to latch on to. For me to be, oh man, I don't have my mother no more. I got my mother right now. Right? And the shame in it is that sometimes y'all don't bond strong enough, so you really don't have nothing to hold on to when the person physically departs, right? But even your mother in the physical sense still be right there with you, even in the physical. The mother, maybe not the father, but the mother, be there in the physical in a lot of senses too. You be dealing with a lot of things that they dealt with physically, the mothers. That 9-month, 40-week foundational birth process is a thing that needs to be examined. That 40. Moses was in the wilderness for 40 years. Esau went up and was tried for 40 days and 40 nights. Anyway, ain't gonna get heavy tonight, man. The way we got to the West Side, right, was my mother wanted my sister Renee to join the Screen Actors Guild. So to get her Screen Actors Guild card and to get training as an actress to become an actress, because my sister beautiful. And she got swag and Ben had it, right? And my mother was like, you should be an actress. You got what it takes. You know what I mean? And my mother, y'all don't know, but my mother, she worked for like Hal Roach. A lot of y'all don't remember Hal Roach Studios and all that, right? Hal Roach Studios, I forget where it's at. It's wherever Uncle Jams was, it's down that way. Right? I don't even know what to call that no more. Right? But you can look it up. Hal Roach Studios. That's where Laurel and Hardy and all of them come out of that. My mother used to tell us the stories of when she was a secretary in the front office, and she met all of them when she was little. So, when she was younger, working at Hal Roach Studios. My mother come from a clique of women that was all them Southern sisters that was kind of like the most beautiful women in the city. She was a pioneer. Like, she pioneered hairdressing, had her own, boutique, right? She had her own salon, right? Back in the days, and was the first woman to bring perms and all of that to Riverside. She was the first woman to bring perms and all of that too over there. They wasn't up on that. My mother brought that to them. Think about that. Anyway, so her life experiences, she was a secretary for Hal Roach Studios, so she interacted with a lot of the actors and actresses and stuff like that. In that Greta Garbo era. That kind of stuff, that old school stuff, man. So my mother, she was born in 23? Yeah. 77, 97. She would be 102 years old right now. In the physical. So anyway, she wanted my sister to be an actress. So she said, you know what? She was getting her bread. You know what I mean? So she said, we're going to move up to West LA, kind of like near Beverly Hills, near Hollywood, and get an apartment And then so me and Renee can go together and I can keep her in school with the Screen Actors Guild, getting her actress lessons and all of that kind of stuff. That's what brought us to the West Side. That's what brought us to 1936 Corner Street, 1973, 4. Like something right there. No later than early 4, right? That's when we got to the West Side. But when we moved to the West Side in the Glass House, first place we stayed, last place we stayed, because moms and them left when I went to jail. They couldn't take it. So they moved to the Palms area and all that. But man, soon as they moved to the West Side, because I was in Watts with my pops, we would drive over there to the West Side in the Pinto. I'm just telling you, this is how we get to the West Side, right? Jeff and them wasn't there yet. Melly Mel, my brother Mike, none of them, Greg and all, they wasn't in LA yet. Greg had probably been in and out of LA because he was an accomplished musician. At that time, he was a musician and was in a band and played for Joe Crocker and all of these different people, man. But they wasn't based in LA. Everybody was based in Riverside and I was in Watts. So we get to that West Side, man. And I never forget when I first walked into the Glass House, really drove to the West Side and the mall was right there, the Montgomery Ward's Mall, man. And I went up to the mall, man, and I just remember the West Side, man. It was different. It was like white people lived in our neighborhood. There was a lot of white people that lived on Corner Street. Then first part, when you come off of Sawyer and you make that left on Corner Street, that was all good, well-to-do white people, even going into the apartment buildings. So the first was houses, and then you hit them apartments. On the right is the closest apartment where Michael Ector and Spanky and all them used to live in that apartment right there on the right-hand side, the first one. And then on the left side, I don't remember when they got there, but I remember Sandy Collier, which is Kenny Collier's sister, which is Trey Stone. You know Kenny Collier and the Pop Lock Gangsters and Pirates thing, right? And his crew, right? Kenny Collier, that first apartment on the left-hand side. Now that's not just Kenny Collier. It ends up being, y'all forget Chauncey, light-skinned Chauncey and them used to live right there. Irvy and them used to live right there. Neil Ho, Lil Bruno's big brother and all of them used to live right there. LaSalle used to be in there with the weed spots on the upstairs and the downstairs. Me and Lil Keith used to be over there grinding, selling weed in like 79. Yeah. Peanut, the homegirl Peanut that was messing with LaSalle and all of that. That's all that on that building right there. That first apartment building before you get to the Glass House. That's the activities from there. Across the street was Michael Ector in them. I don't remember who else was behind over there, but I'm going to tell you who's a real historian. We got two homies, I'm going to say two homies, that are real historians of what went on, like on the West Side, how everybody got there, right? Bent Nose and Lil Keith. Lil Keith know everybody on the West Side. He knew everybody from the West Side. That was my partner, but everybody that he knew wasn't my partners. Some of them dudes, older dudes, knew Lil Keith. That was the plug. Anyway, it's a lot to that, man. But this how things became, like it grew into these things. But when I first got there, this was white people living over here, man. It was us and some white people, man. And when we got there, the first people who was living in the Glass House that I can remember at that time was really just us, Pat that had the long hair, and her husband drove the black Eldorado. I forget who he worked for. Pat, the light-skinned sister, remind you of Coffee Brown, man. Beautiful. And Allen and Globe, first apartment on the left-hand side. Our first apartment wasn't the apartment 6, the one we ended up on before you walk into the building on the right-hand side. Our first apartment was the one Ray Perry ended up staying in. And LP and Anthony Perry, and they lived in the glass house at a certain point. But they ended up living upstairs in the back on apartment 9 before you go around the curve, and it was the two gay sisters right there who had the weed sack. See, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot, man. But the glass house was quiet because Mr. Willis was the manager when we first got over there. Stop it, man. You ain't no original West Side cat been in and out of the glass house if you don't remember Mr. Willis. My mama became the manager with Mr. Ed. But that was after Mr. Willis, right? And Mr. Willis, Frogman wasn't no joke, man. He was on our bumpers. Anyway, so that's the glass house, man. And the first person, like I said, that I encountered when I got to the glass house was Lil Keith, man. Lil Keith was really that dude, man, as far as the young dudes. Hold on one second, y'all. Got beepers going off like a high school bell again. Yeah, it was Lil Keith, y'all. Lil Keith was really back then, man, as far as my age group. Like, I think Lil Keith was 1 year older than me. And then Tracy Jackson. They was the same age group. But on every street, like I said, we broke all this down before. But I'm just reflecting because the West Side, man, it was different. It was like the violent element on the West Side was really Bedford Street. It wasn't Corner Street at first. Corner Street was kind of, it wasn't necessarily quiet, and I'm going to tell you how Corner Street got loud. And it wasn't dudes from LA that made Corner Street loud. It wasn't LA that made Corner Street loud. It was some of our family who came from the South and Louisiana, St. Louis in the South and Mississippi that came and livened up the glass house. It wasn't LA people. But anyway, so in this time, right, Jeff Bray and them ain't there yet. Jeff Bray didn't get to, I almost want to say Jeff Bray, because Jeff Bray didn't go to Shenandoah. So I almost want to say Jeff Bray didn't get to the West Side till 77. Officially, like 70, because 77, Jeff Bray was, how old was Jeff Bray in 77, man? I think that's his pasture day, 7th grade. But Jeff Bray, 65, 63. Jeff Bray was 14 in 77. So it's 13 you get to junior high. So he came in 76. That's when Jeff Bray got to the West Side. He wasn't in junior high, elementary school in the West Side. I don't remember him being there. But let me show you when he got to the West Side though. These dudes right here, show y'all something, man, was them dudes, man. You see these cats right here, man? It was a group of them, right? Trey Ball, one of them. These dudes right here, they was them business, man. That's when, and that's 77, 7. That's about 77 right there. Right? Them dudes had a dance group, and one of the members of the dance group was Lonnie Simmons Jr. And Lonnie Simmons Jr., if you know Lonnie Simmons, Big Lonnie Simmons was the owner of the Total Experience, which is the record label for the Gap Band. That used to be right down there when it was Santa Rosalia, and it wasn't Martin Luther King. It wasn't King. It was Santa Rosalia going in front of the Jungles and all of that. And they had the club over there, this Total Experience. That was Lonnie Simmons' pops. Lonnie Simmons was definitely a Diamondback back then. All these dudes used to come over my house, man. Not for me, for my brother, for Jeff Bray. Because them dudes was with that work, man, as far as being a dance group and then fighting. You know, it's squabble up. Don't nobody want to fight Michael Laurie back then that I knew of. You would be like tripping. I mean, things went up, right? You had, man, listen, man. As far as getting down we surprised people. The West Side would, like our area, you wouldn't expect that level of fighting to be right there in that area because we so close to Beverly Hills. And when I say close to Beverly Hills, we literally was like, you know, you go up La Cienega and you get to Pico, you in Beverly Hills. You go across Pico, that's Beverly Hills. Some areas. You go up Cadillac and get to Robertson and go across Robertson. Some parts of that over there is like considered to be Beverly Hills. Rancho Park, Cheviot area. All that's millionaire property, man. You understand what I'm saying? So we surrounded by money. We came in not understanding our surroundings, not really understanding where we were and the potential for where we were. We didn't really grasp that like our parents did, right? Because our parents been on them east sides and been in the South and where it was a lot more difficulty. We didn't fully grasp where they had put us. I know I didn't. I know everybody's so much sharper than me, right? I got no problem with being late to the party, man. I got there, though. Yeah, y'all was trying to hold me back, but I made it to the party. Yeah, I still got a little complex. You see it. You like, the homie still got a complex about that 1970 shit, man. Yeah, man. But that West Side, man, this was my brother, man. And Michael Laurie and Taz, and then you had Jeffrey Davis, you had Trey Ball. I don't remember all of them. You had Lonnie Simmons, and there's some other ones that I don't fully remember, right? But if you had to remember they used to vote most likely to succeed in junior high school, stuff like that. If you had to make that vote in junior high school, it would be these dudes right here in this picture. From Pasture, most likely to succeed. And there is some success stories in them pictures. I ain't gonna get into that, but this the West Side, man. It's dance time, man. Everybody got a dance group. I never was in no dance group. I was never in a dance group. While y'all was dancing, right? We was stealing. Y'all dancing and we jacking. Me and Lil Keith, you know what I'm saying? If we going to take money, man, you know what I mean? We had a bag, and we young tykes, we on a mini bike at a bag, right? We was just terrible, man. You know, when I really reflect back on it, we didn't care about nothing, man, but having our weed to blow, a little something to sip on, man, and a bag of money. That's it, man. You know, but that was our West Side experience, man. You had them guys, man. And then I remember one day, man, one night, and somebody could clean me up on that. I thought it was T. Rogers and them in that L-Dog that night, but somebody said, no, it was another dude They used to drive around in that L Dog, like that burgundy L Dog back in the 70s, right? So I'm following Jeff because they used to have these house parties on Hauser. And I wanted to get to the parties. I could follow Jeff and get in the parties. That was my way. Because I didn't know what house it was going to be and all that. And they never wanted me to come in the parties. Even when Jesse and them used to throw them parties, man, I was too young. They didn't want me in the parties, right? They was really lightweight, low key. They was protecting me. Right? Because in most of them parties, fights and stuff jump off. You know what I mean? They like, little bro ain't ready for this. You know what I mean? Like that type of thing. They was like that about me, man. You know what I mean? But I remember me and Jeff was walking to get that. We came from Corning, and we walked down. How in the hell did we get where we was at, man? We went through the pasture way and the back streets over there to get to Hauser and Venice. And then when you cross, I didn't make it. Jeff made it, but I didn't make it to the party that night. Because it was an alley right there before you get to Hauser. Some kind of little alley right there. And I don't remember exactly how is there a damn alley right there. To this day, I had to go drive over there and see where was the alley at. Because all that stuff still laid out the same way. But anyway, we was walking up this alley. And the burgundy L Dog hit the corner. And if you know Jeff running, he went by me and like papers flew. It wasn't even no office and no papers nowhere, but he went by me and there's like papers flying all over the place. He took off. Come on, AJ. Told you I didn't want you to come. Like that. He was mad at me, but he tracked. I wasn't no athlete like that. I tried to run and catch up my brother. I couldn't catch him. Right. So he blew. Right. And I ran to the left and slid up under a car, and the car missed me where I had turned and ran up and slid up under this car. The L Dog went by and they was like looking for Jeff. Like, I don't know what that was even about. It wasn't back then on the west side. It wasn't colors and all that. It wasn't even that. It was just the dude in the L Dog was looking for somebody to jump or beat up or something like that. It was something crazy like that, man. I didn't even really understand at that time, you know. But I thought that was T. Rogers in them, in that L Dog. Somebody told me, no, it was another brother who was, you know, one of them West Side cats, man, that rode around in that brand new L Dog, one of them hustler cats that rode around in that L Dog, man. You know what I mean? But I never ended up knowing who the dude was, man. But this is the type of things we went through, man. Me trying to get to these dudes in these parties, and they, you know, they gigging and they meeting women, and I'm trying to meet women. I'm a young dude, but I'm trying to get up in here and meet some of these women, but I'm too young. They ain't going to talk to me. Shame on you, because I would have been the best thing for you. You know what I'm saying? Parlaying the podcast into a Mac hand extension. No. But I'm saying, and it was so live, man. The West Side was so live. The beautifulest women on the West Side, man. Come on, man. You know. So the dance group era. I was not active in the dance group thing. They would all be like the Playboy dancers, always practice behind the glass house. And I knew all of these dudes. I know everybody. We all know each other, but I'm not a Playboy dancer. Right? These is all like, everybody from Playboy Dancer is like a year older than me or more. I'm a younger dude to these dudes. But these my homeboys, though. Like, these is the dudes that are like, we all know each other. And if anything was to ever happen, I could rely on any one of them dudes. Because I was like, I'm telling you, man, it was like one of them things for me. I was like little bro to everybody in the whole set. I was everybody's little brother. Some of y'all don't even remember this. But what's his name? Stacy Bullock from, I think he was from Crip 5, that ended up being being an original 60, right? Long before there was anything such as a beef between even the A-Tray gangsters in the 60s. That beef hadn't even started when they lived in our set. They moved to and I'm saying they because I'm talking about Stacy Bullock and his little brother Pee Wee. And I think Stacy Bullock was Big Pee Wee, right? And Stagger Lee used to be over there all the time. And Kenny. And they started working out. They used to set up when they moved on Holt, it was across the street from Jesse James. And if you go down, like Jesse on Holt, Jesse's dad had a house on Holt. But if you go down, just like Corning, the apartments start, right? The first apartment on the right-hand side in the front, that's where Stacy Bullock and them moved at. And they set up Buff and Iron in front of they like the little gate area in front of the apartment. They put an iron pile right there. And they would be outside buffing. And my brother Tony was he used to buff iron. Everybody really, the Team Post crew, right? But Tony, Sherman Lee, Marcus, who became Willstone, all of them used to be with Stacy Bullock and Stagger Lee in that front little iron pit, buffing iron. And I would come over there. And they listen, man. I was totally with it. But I wasn't allowed to do what they was doing. But what I was doing, I was totally with what I was doing. You couldn't tell me I wasn't hustling and grinding. And before a lot of y'all even thought about getting to a bag, I was way off the porch in terms of getting at some money. Way off of it. Right? Hey, man, listen, man, real story. This is a real story, man. One day, it happened a few times. One time it was me and Jesse and Stacy Bullock and Stagger Lee. But this one day, Stacy Bullock and Stagger Lee going up to the mall. They got on the bomber coats, the khakis, big ass. Stacy Bullock had the big ass afro. They on swole. Stacy Bullock had one of the coldest strolls I had ever seen. Right? He walked like he was in a level 4 prison. You know what I'm saying? So I followed behind these cats because they got all the attention, and I understood that as a shorty. Like I understood the security guard gonna be paying them attention. He ain't gonna pay me no mind. He gonna be paying them attention. Listen, man, they went into Woolworths. I come into Woolworths behind them, just like I saw it happening, man. It went down just like how I saw it happening, man. Listen, man, they in there shopping for real, like buying stuff. I'm in there stealing everything that ain't net bolted down out of, just stealing. You know how they had the little display thing with the costume jewelry? Man, I hit them for so much of that costume jewelry. I thought I was doing something too, man. I didn't know what to steal. I just was taking everything I could put my hands on, right? So I took all the costume jewelry, stuffed it off the little rack thing where you go around and it's the earrings and then it's the little slum chains and all that. I grabbed all that stuff, man, put it in my pockets. When they walked out, I walked out right behind them. I got a bunch of the pencils and all that because we used to play that game, breaking your pencils. You know what I mean? I forget the name of the game, but you do this and boom, pop the pencil in the middle, hold the pencil like this, and it be in the middle. Right, and then you play pop the pencil, see if you can do it with the pencil. Pop a pencil with a pencil. I forget what that's called, man. I had a bunch of pencils and stuff I had took out of there, right? But I followed them all the way back to their house, and I'm like, look, y'all, I come up, right? And they're like, what you do? And I'm like, I pull out all the little slum jewelry and start sitting it down, and they start laughing at me. Stag was like, I like this little dude, man. This little nigga don't know what he doing. You know what I'm saying? And a long story, man. It's something I'm not going to get into what had happened, the details of it, But it would be a situation where I remember Stagger Lee had the bomb. He had that brown bomb. It was brown and tan, and it had the mail. Who remember that, man? Who remember when Big Stagger Lee, rest in peace, had the bomb, and it had the mailbox on the side of it. Like when you ride, the mailbox was on. He had a mailbox on the side of it. Stagger Lee would never. He would be if he was in the set and he seen me, he would always pull over and pick me up and be like, come on, little nigga, ride with me. Where you going? I'm like, man, I ain't doing nothing. He like, I ride over, and he'll go over to Stacy Bullock house. Like, nigga, watch yourself. And he, telling me little shit. And then he would always go in his pocket and give me like a dub or something. Always. Big Stag. They love me. But this was following a night, right? One night. Y'all remember the going down Guthrie, right? All the way down Guthrie before you get to Venice. On the left-hand side, it was that party. Something happened at that party. And both of them came running through the set. I caught Stacy Bullock and Stag at the cut on Cheriton. They came running because you heard something happen. And then they came running, but they didn't know how to get through the cuts to get to Hope. And they was like, little nigga, where they? Hey, they didn't even know my name. Little nigga was my name. Little nigga was my name, right? They're like, how you get to the spot over there? And I'm like, come on, man. I took them through the cuss and got them home. They're like, right on, right. And after that would be every time Stag seen me. You know what I mean? It would be, man, you need to ride. Get in the car, man. I got you, right? I ended up later in life being on the yard in Soledad Central with Stagger Lee, man. That was crazy. Stag had all day. I learned more about him then. Like what him and Stacy Bullock, what they was on back then, that I didn't know what they was on at the time. But later on, you learn, this what they was on. Okay, now you get it, right? And why they like me for being the way that I was, right? Yeah, and it was a lot of little friction in the set, like with the Bedford boys and little stuff going on. Jesse tell the story, man, where they made a big mistake, man. I ain't getting into that. I'll let Jesse stick with that story. But this is the West Side, man. This is the West Side. We always every weekend, because I done flipped. I had the mini bike early on. Before I had my mini bike, we was still in mopeds. Who remember the era where we would all go stealing mopeds, go into Beverly Hills and go in their garages and stuff and cut the chains and stuff and steal their mopeds, and then be in the set riding the mopeds and the police be chasing us, trying to catch us and lock us up for stealing mopeds. Y'all don't remember that. I'm talking about the whole set was hot. When we broke in the homie called me the other day and said the motorcycle club shop that we broke into was 3-star, not 5-star. I remember 5-star, but 3-star, I'll take it. Up there on Los Cienega, man. Right? Across the street from Tom's Number 5, where the first arcade in the set was. We done had these debates. That ain't the first arcade, because the first arcade is in the Montgomery Ward's Mall in the middle area. That's the first arcade in the set. Then it wasn't an arcade, but Thrift Town had the pinball machines. Somebody said it was an arcade down on La Cienega down on Venice going to the right. I'm like, first of all, that ain't the set. We didn't hang over there. None of us ever really hung over there. When you go down La Cienega and you make a right on Venice, that ain't where we hang out. We going all the way to Cattaraugus and all that. We don't hang out over there. That's surrounding the area of area. But we hung out when you go up La Cienega. shit damn near all the way to Pico because that's where the Lido Theater was. We hung out over the, all the way up there. But we never hung out. I don't know nobody who hung out on Venice and La Cienega and went and make that right and go to Venice. I didn't know none of the homies hung out up there. I ain't know that, but that wasn't the area we hung out in, right? But that beautiful West Side, every weekend we at Motorcycle Hill because of Black Doug and them. Black Doug and them got the YZ 250s and the RM 250s and all of that. And they warming the bikes up in the set. Like on Bedford, you come, you want to be on Bedford Saturday morning at about 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. Because they was some of them was going to put their bikes on the back of a trailer and get rode up there. And then the rest of them was going to ride their bikes through the set all the way up to Motorcycle Hill. And back then, that could turn into a high-speed chase with the police because the police, that noise and all of that on the West Side, that was a problem for white people, man. I'm sure some black people sold us out too, man, but we lived in an area where it was a lot of white people and the homies would be in their motorcycles, man, riding down the street making all that noise with them YZs and them RMs and them Hondas and all that, man. Making all that noise, getting ready to go up to Motorcycle Hill and race all day. Alan Williams and all of them, man. Alan had, I think, one of the worst motorcycle riding accidents on the West Side in like the mid-70s. Alan Williams, rest in peace. Globe's brother. Glass House Alan. They say Alan was fast on his bike too. And he went over one of the embankments, man. If you know what I mean, if you know Motorcycle Hill and them embankments, man, it's like going over a cliff. Say Alan was riding, coming and slid over the cliff, man, and messed his head up and everything, man. Them is the big bros from the West Side, man. But we would be in Motorcycle Hill every weekend. And you had to pass up the garden on the right-hand side right there to get to Motorcycle Hill. And we got a couple of homies, but a main homie who knows the whole history of that garden. I don't know the history of the garden, so I don't never really speak on it. But it's a lot of homies that came to the set that came from the garden because they shut that garden down. It was going down up in that garden, man. I forget what's the name of the garden. It was the garden. You going up right across from Fedco. That's Rodeo. So you going up La Cienega and you start to go up the hill on the right-hand side, that apartment complex over there. It's like projects. The garden. A lot of our homeboys come from the garden and moved down into the set. A lot of dudes who was like, had reputations, moved from the garden to like Gear Gang Hood, to West Boulevard, to the Jungles, right? All areas connecting to that part of the West Side. When they broke that garden down, the people who lived in the garden went all over the West Side for the most part. And we got a homie who could tell that story. He's just funny. Yeah. So, that being said, man, what else, man? The Montgomery Wars hookup, man. Hey, we tore Montgomery Wars down, man. I'm surprised we didn't put them out of business. I went to camp, my first time in camp. I went to camp for, was that my first time or my second time? One of the times I went to camp was because Scooby and them when being in the back of the glass house on a false court. That was Camp Scudder. Did they put, I'm kind of vague because I went to Miller and then I went to Scudder. And Miller was first. And I think Miller was when I tried to. We had got so bold on robbing Montgomery Ward. If you know, we was always looking for a lick at Montgomery Ward, y'all. That's what it was. They caught me with 2 heats. Me and Lil Keith hit Montgomery Ward. Remember when they had the who remembers when the sporting goods department had the gun cases when you walk in all the way to your right going towards 18th Street, that side of Montgomery Ward. When you walk all the way over there, they had the sporting goods section, and in the case, they had the gun case. Me and Lil Keith hit that. Yeah, we hit that. And got away. When we hit that and we got away. And I got caught with 2 guns. And that's how I went to Miller. I got caught with 2 guns in the alley, in Corner Street Alley, shooting out the street lights. Yep. And they called the police on me. Y'all was always calling the police on me, though. Yeah, man, they didn't like me, man, on the west side, man. My neighbors didn't like me. I was a nuisance to them. You know? But like I said, where I was at on Watts, I couldn't get off the porch. But when I came to the west side, I was immediately off the porch. Everything I learned in Watts, it's like I'm advanced when I got to the west side because they wasn't on that. Anyway, shout out to my Westlaw family, man. So many beautiful and memories, man, when we got bust out of Pasture. They put that bus program on us in Pasture. And I went to hell. It's a debate about who all ended up going to hell. Hold on, y'all. Yeah, but that busing program, when they started sending us, some of us would go to hell. I went to hell, but I didn't last at hell. And then some of y'all went to Portola with Janet Jackson. And then I think it was Webster, because I ended up going to Webster too. But then I ended up leaving the west side and going back to junior. I went back to Watts to go to Markham. Yep. Getting kicked out of schools on the west side. And it was mainly because I wasn't going. Sometimes I would sneak, I would play hooky, man, and go get money. You know what I mean? I always was I was so antisociable, man. I felt awkward. Like I didn't socialize and, like everybody else. What else, man? All of us, man. So Shenandoah, I'm going to do Shenandoah, man. Because I came to Shenandoah, I believe it was in the 4th grade. And we had them little barracks in the front of Shenandoah. You would come in and go in the barracks. I think we would have like a breakfast program or something. I don't really, it's kind of vague to me what we first did, but we didn't go first into the class. I think you would go and get the chocolate milk or whatever and something, and then you would go to class, right? The first person, literally, man, the first person I really met when I got to Shenandoah was Rodney Poindexter. Rodney Poindexter went to Shenandoah in the 4th grade. First person I met. And Rodney was the one telling me who to look out for. He was like, someone, yeah. This the 4th grade, and Marcel the bad, it's like he the king of 4th grade. They had that. It's the king of 4th grade, king of 5th grade, king of 6th grade. Right? And he was like, Marcel is the king of 4th grade, but I'm the second. Like, I'm second in charge. And I laughed and I said, you the next one? And I laughed at him, and he was like, we can get down like right now after school. Shout out to Rodney, rest in peace, man. My father, man. Breath smelled like carnation milk, but man, talking about we can get down. He's like, man, we ain't finna fight. You know what I mean? I like you, man. Why would I fight you? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, Rodney Poindexter, man, was my first friend in Shenandoah Elementary School in 4th grade. Yep. 4th grade, man. Lil Keith stabbed me. I was standing by Tracy Jackson, and little Keith, Tracy Jackson jumped in the middle of it. Because I asked him, I was only asking him a question. It wasn't even really nothing. Listen, man, it wasn't no grounds to stab me. Right? I had to leave that alone because this ended up becoming my best friend. Right? But he stabbed me. They used to call little Keith Cake Cutter because he had the afro and he had that big old cake cutter. What am I doing? Okay. He had that big old cake cutter that was big like this and had the handle. He had that. And they called him Cake Cutter because they knew if you got into it with Lil Keith, he gonna pull his cake cutter out, and he got the cake cutter got a bunch of little sharp little teeth to it, and he gonna swing it at you and cut you with it. He was known for that. I didn't know that's why they called him Cake Cutter. I found out because I probably still got the scar on me where he stabbed me and my hand bled a little bit. And I'm like, what you do that for? And he was gonna stab me again. And Tracy Jackson jumped in the middle. Like, leave him alone, man. Telling me to leave Lil Keith alone. I'm like, I ain't even do nothing to him. Tracy Jackson was like, just leave it alone, man. Just leave it alone. I left it alone. But when we would leave school in Shenandoah, that dude, I'm gonna tell you who was that dude. And he was only a year older than me. All of them, Tracy Jackson, Lil Keith and all of them, it was more. But them is the most notable ones, right? Rocky Boyd. Rocky Boyd from Bedford, Byron Boyd and them brother, the Boyd family. Rocky Boyd was that dude, period, at Shenandoah. Rocky Boyd was the king of the school. If he was in 5th grade, he was the king of 6th grade too. Yeah, Rocky Boyd was that dude, man. And it was always after school at Shenandoah, it would be, we would all go down Bedford. And either we was going to meet behind the school on, what street is that behind? Where the back gate is, where we do the flips over there by the little baseball, little diamond or whatever. That's where we went and danced. They did a little dance offs and did the little flips and all that. So you could do the back flips and all that. We would go there. But if it was any fights that was supposed to happen, we would go down Bedford. And Rocky was like the Rocky would be like picking people up and throwing them up in a tree and shit. Rocky Boy was a big old dude, man. For him to be in the 5th grade, 6th grade, man, that dude was a giant, man. Whoever remember Rocky, shout out to Rocky, man. I heard something went on with him, man. Lil Keith told me he'd be seeing him sometime. Still to this day, man. Shout out to Rocky Boy, man. Rocky Boy was that dude. If you know us, and I'm talking about all of us who we all came up together. Creep, Green Eyes, Fred, Tracy, Anthony Perry. You know what I mean? George. I'm leaving people out now. I shouldn't do that. I'm leaving some people out. Dang. Our groups, man. Irvy. Chauncey didn't really mess with us, man. Chauncey thought he was better than us. Light-skinned Chauncey from Corner Street. But Fred and all of them, all the Bedford boys and the Corner boys was like, and everybody in between, all the way to Sheraton, we was all just like a group in the whole set. It wasn't no this street, that street, this street. It wasn't really that. But Bedford was where the activity was mainly at in the set. But yeah, it would be fights. You know, we staging fights. I never forget, man. And I don't know how it all happened, man, but me and Marcel didn't want to fight me. Like, he didn't really want to fight me. Right? So he befriended me. He was like, man, come over to my house. He lived on Garth. And he was like, man, come over to my house, man. We're going to listen to some music and drink some sodas and kick it, right? And some of the girls was going to come over. He was fly like that, though. Them girls would go over to Marcel's house when his mom and them wasn't there. Yeah. So we would hang out. But when Green Eyes came to school, Marcel tried to hit up. Green Eyes didn't respect the who's who shit in school. He didn't mean nothing to him. Right? And he didn't mean it in no aggressive way. He was just being himself. It wasn't, he was putting no 10 on nothing, but this what happened, man. Hey, man. So me and Green Eyes got introduced because Green Eyes could flip like better than anybody. Green Eyes was the best flipper. And he could do gainers. Gainers was when you doing backflips, and you just standing there in one place and it's like a circle. You look like a wheel. That's how Green Eyes used to do them flips, man. And I loved when I couldn't flip. I loved when you could flip, right? I just loved to watch it. You know what I mean? And one day, Marcel hit up Green Eyes and told Green Eyes something like, you ain't something. And Green Eyes confronted him like, what you talking about? And he was like, I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. And Green Eyes said, all right. And he said, yeah, after school. They end up, okay, after school. So now it's Green Eyes, who is Damon Ross, and Marcel about to fight after school. I got to be here for this. Right? Hey, man. That's when everybody found out not to mess with Green Eyes. Hey, man. Hey, man. Right there next to the little liquor store on the corner of Shenandoah and Cadillac. I forget Joe's or whatever that liquor store. It don't matter. Fucking giving all that credit. That shit don't matter. It wasn't ours. So anyway, that liquor store on the corner on the when you're going down Cadillac, when you make the right and you start going down past the liquor store, right there is a Bush's. Right? That's where they went head up at, man. Listen, man, I ain't gonna put no whole lot on it. But Green Eyes won that fight, man, hands down. He won. Marcel tried to rumble with Green Eyes, but Green Eyes fought like he flipped. He just was getting too much in. You know what I mean? He had Marcel all up in them bushes, man. Till Marcel tapped out and Green Eyes let him tap out. That was the end of that. King of 4th, 5th grade and all that. That shit ended that day. Green Eyes is the one who ended that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. Shout out to David Ross, man. And his sister Kim wasn't to be played with either. But that kind of stuff was happening on the West Side, man. You had a lot of dudes who was them dudes on the West Side. Really happened that way. A lot of dudes on the West Side, man. It was a lot of us that just really had that, right? Tracy Jackson was always like that. You know, I remember when we graduated from 5th grade, Tracy and them was graduating from 6th grade. And I don't like that. I don't like women in the snow driving them cars and stuff. It's too dangerous out here. Anyway, Tracy Jackson was like, so graduation of the 5th grade, going to 6th grade. They was like, it was, I forget her name. I think her name was Katrina, because she was one of the homegirls who could dance real good. And she knew how to do a backflip. I think it was Katrina, if I ain't mistaken. And it was Mildred. I forget all of the homegirls' names, man. But Zachary, I remember Zachary. Rest in peace, Zach. That's Pirate's sister. We all went to Shenandoah together. So listen. So when the graduation of 5th grade happened, they was like, oh, y'all. Everybody, she was running around telling everybody to come over to the cafeteria area. She said that Tracy Jackson and this girl are doing the Texas Hop, which was a type of dance, right? To do a celebration and like to end sixth grade. They was all going to junior high school from Shenandoah. We had another year to go. I ended up leaving, but that was the way it was slated, right? Went over there. Tracy Jackson and 3 other people was doing this dance called the Texas Hop, and they cutting it up, and everybody hyped up about it. He was one of them famous type, like, people. He had a lot of notoriety back then. Tracy Jackson did. But y'all remember that? And he was like, "Get over here, man! They doing the Texas Hop." And everybody rushed over there. It was like a crowd rushed over there to watch them dance, And they was playing music and they was doing the dance. It was cool, man. And then that's the way that ended. The 5th grade for me. Then I left. I went to Gompers after that because it's Pops. That pool I got pulled on. I went to Gompers on the east side. Shot the Red Eye from Main Street, man. My kid. But yeah, so the West Side, man. The West Side was always classy, man. It was a classy area, and we scraped it. Like, we took the class out of the West Side and just balled it up and tore it up, painted it up, gang banged it out, right? And they just now trying to recover it. They trying to recover the West Side, y'all. We tore the West Side up, man, but it was beautiful at first, man. The Lido Theater was beautiful, man. We would go up there when all the black movies would come out. We could go up to the Lido Theater, man. I think it was $1 to go to the Lido Theater back then. Then they tore it up. We ended up having to go to Culver City and go to the 99-cent theater and that other little cheap theater over there. But we were running to people who wanted a problem with us back then. So we had to mob and go up there, right? Then when we would go to the beach, we'd go up to Pico, man, and get on the bus, man, and just go to ride to the beach, Santa Monica Beach, right? Ride all the way to Santa Monica Beach, man, cutting up on the bus. These days, man, gone are the days, man. These days are long gone, man. You know? Anyway, man, there's more to tell on every story. With that being said, man, I just wanted to spend a little bit of this Soul Saturday with y'all, man. Remember this, man. I'm having this conversation with y'all about settling our differences, right? Lawful dialogue, atonement, reconciliation, and responsibility. We have to get the friction out of our operations, y'all. The little petty differences that we have are not big enough to fester the way that we allow them to. So be more proactive, y'all. Talk to each other, man. And I had to explain to one of the homies, man, who called me and was like, like it was a set thing about a mediator, right? Mediation is just somebody who's going to stand in the middle and listen to the points on both sides and give each side an opportunity to clarify the meaning of their point, their side, their point of view. That ain't no set sensitive thing, man. That's about who's ever qualified to mediate and be impartial in the process of mediating. You usually do that through a professional person. They ain't from your set. The doctor and the psychiatrist and the psychologist, they're not from the set. But we have to be able to be everything we need to be to each other, man. So I recommend, get some form of mediation, man. So where you can sit down with somebody and you can talk clearly without energizing the conversation emotionally and going off the rails. We got to learn how to do that, y'all. This will keep us from becoming one of those areas that we say that, don't nobody kill playboys but playboys. You don't want to be that. What leads to that is a lack of lawful dialogue. Say that one more time. What leads to that is a lack of lawful dialogue where you could have resolved the conflict at this stage, but you let it fester and grow into something else. Next thing you know, y'all lining up phase as rivals in your own set. Now there's just animosity. And it's growing. Something happens, man. I don't care about that fool anyway. Now your own homeboy don't feel no type of way about coming and getting at you. Because it ain't no love there. Because we didn't go through the process. Get through the process, y'all. Lawful dialogue, man. I'm going to talk more about that, but I didn't want to take the day to do it. I just wanted to tap in about the beauty of that West Side, man. Shout out to Jeff Bray, man. Michael Laurie, Trey Ball, Jeffrey Davis. All of the homies who was in them dance groups, man, and did your thing, man. It's all love, man. Y'all continue to have a blessed one, man. Peace.